one of the biggest reasons PR applications get delayed or refused. Employment letters, basically, that do not meet IRCC's requirements. And in this video, I'll break down exactly what your job reference letters need to include so you don't risk your PR. I am Liz Mathew, the regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get right into the video. So basically, employment letter. The one of the first requirement is that it must be on an official company letterhead with their full address, phone number, and email. And IRCC looks at this to confirm authenticity because it's very important to note that IRCC cross verifies everything in the employment letter because that is what basically do the talking of the employment, because you are not there in person to do the talking, and your employment letter talks about your work experience. So everything about your work experience need to be reflected in that employment letter, and it will be cross verified, such as the websites and so on. And the second thing, it needs to include key details. So it should have your full name, your job title, your start date, and if applicable, end date. If that is not your current job, basically put your end date in there, and also the number of hours per week you would have worked while you were in that role or what you are currently working in, hours per week, and also your salary. And if you received any kind of allowance or benefits, mention that as well. Salary per hour or annually, how much you are getting. It needs, your employment letter need to specify that. And also your detailed job duties, which is matching your NOC code. That is a very important component. And most of the time, if you did foreign work experience, your foreign employers do not generally include the duties for that particular job because that's not a common standard. But for Canadian PR, that is a very important requirement, your duties and responsibilities. So there is already, Canada has NOC codes set out for each occupation, and each occupation has a standard NOC code, duties and responsibilities set out. So that needs to match with what you are performing, that you performed or are performing in your job, and it needs to be specified and it needs to match. So that's what it is. So this is where many applicants get stuck. And it's also to be noted, it's just not a copy paste of the standard ones onto your employment letter. No, your NOC description, make sure the duties align closely and it needs to be paraphrased with what is being actually done. So mostly the standard NOC code is very generally written. The duties in there is very generally written, but IRCC expects it from the company's perspective. What are they doing in that particular company for this particular role? What is this individual doing? So that needs to be in detail mentioned in the employment letter. And the letter should be signed by a person of authority. So get it signed by your HR, your manager, supervisor, or someone senior in the company. And their name, title, and contact info should be clear. That is very important in your employment letter, as IRCC do contact employers in that contact number that's mentioned on your employment letter, and they need to be reachable, whosever number is being mentioned on that letter. What not to submit in your employment letter is no generic HR letters that just say worked here from X to Y with no roles and responsibilities. That is not accepted by IRCC. And unsigned or informal emails, and also missing salary hours or duties. As I mentioned, it's very important to have your employment letter clearly mention your hours per week, your salary, It can be either annually or per hour salary, and also your main duties performed in that task. It's very important to include that. And rejection rates are quite high for this particular reason, that your employment letter is not clear enough that for IRCC for their PR application, and they do not give a second chance. It's being rejected right away. So you don't want to be in that situation. So make sure you do submit a proper employment letter, and also additional proofs if needed. So if your employer won't give you a proper letter, so gather supporting documents like your payslips, your offer letters, your tax documents, your contracts, your affidavits if necessary. So you can, if your employer is not ready to provide an accompanied letterhead, provide it from a colleague who worked with you during that time, an affidavit from them to prove that, yes, I did work with so and so person from this and this date, and these were the duties they did. So these are all documents that can be provided as a source, and provide it in an explanation letter. Provide proofs of all that and explain it in the explanation letter. So because your documents are the ones that are doing the talking, as you are not in front of the officer while the officer is looking at your application. So make sure you do have proper documentation to prove it, and your employment letter states out everything clearly. It's important. And if you want me to review your employment letter, or if you're facing difficulty getting one, drop a comment or book a consultation. And the links are below. Like this video and subscribe for more no nonsense Canadian immigration advice. And good luck with your PR, and we are always here to help you out.